which leads me to another thought I had with the soy sauce is that it's really the only condiment that I use with hot cuisine, with good quality food. And I put it directly on the fish. And sushi now, you can spend anywhere from $3 to $15 just on a single piece of nigiri. And I thought it was amazing that two things about it, that people would just dip a $15 mouthful of food in Budweiser $2 chunk soy sauce. And it was always the same. I was amazed there's no sophistication in the pairing of the soy sauce with the fish. To go back to my previous idea, if you have something like a hotate, a raw, delicate scallop, or you have a piece of mackerel, it struck me as odd that you would pair the same condiment with them. You know, people drink different wines, which isn't a condiment, it's something you drink with it, but there is no pairing of the soy sauce relative to what is being put on.
It's the first time you share the idea of like a flight of soy sauce. Like I'm in a wine background, so I know the wine flight. We taste like a lighter white to the heavier red, and then we pair the food. And then I was so amazed you have that mind with the soy sauce. And then I thought that was a really, really good idea because it's so true. Depending on what you eat, pairing the different wine, different soy sauce really gives me the different experience.
Well, to do so, what I've often done is when I go to a sushi bar, I'll ask for 3 of the dishes for the soy sauce, and I'll put the restaurant soy sauce in the dish, and then I'll put my Koikuchi and my Marudai, and I'll dip different fish in different soy sauces and see which one I prefer. And I enjoy the meal more. It just makes it a more interesting experience. Now, one more important, and an important side of this also is with the analogy with wine and soy sauce or spirits. Soy sauce, like a wine, goes bad very quickly. If you open up any brewed product in general, you can use either beer or wine in this case, and leave it in the open air for a day, all of the most important delicate flavors evaporate. They're volatile, which means they go off into the air. And additionally, the oxygen goes into the wine or beer and oxidizes it, which is why old wine tastes bitter. So you lose all the flavor and you get a metallic bitter taste. The same thing happens with soy sauce. Now, if you think about it, soy sauce is kept in a carafe, generally open. People shake it and use it all day, introducing air. And then the vast majority of restaurants just top it off with fresh soy sauce every night. So it's like a sherry. Some of that soy sauce might have been in there since the restaurant opened 10 years ago. And I think people are unaware of it because it's true. It's very lucky that soy sauce can't be contaminated. Nothing can grow in soy sauce, which is why you can have an open bottle of soy sauce in a cabinet for 2 years, pull it out, put it on your Chinese food and eat it and not get sick. It's the only thing that does that, which allows restaurants to do so. So what I tell people when they taste soy sauce, I think people only think of it as sour and salt, as acid and salt, and they don't think of it as anything other than that. But what I want people to be aware of is that soy sauce is this very complicated, flavorful sauce. It's an actual sauce. And that it has nuances, and that if you leave it open, taste it in the restaurant next time you go in, and taste for metallic flavors and bitterness, and you will see them. Don't just throw it on everything and not think about what it tastes. Pick up the dish that you have the soy sauce in and smell it or taste a little bit with your finger. That's the easiest way to taste the soy sauce. Just dip your finger in, put it in your mouth.
Do you recommend?
And I think once people, yeah, to just dip your finger in it and taste it.
Like a taste it like the around the whole like a tongue, like a just like a wine. Okay.
No, it's hard to taste in the sense it's so bitter and there's so much acidity in it that if you put enough in your mouth to really coat your mouth like you would with a wine or a beer, it's unpleasant. You know, I think you react too strongly. So I taste just a little bit, you know, on my tongue and lips, and smell it and go that way. And you taste the balance in your mouth, the salt and the acid, and there's a small component of alcohol. And the smells are really what's interesting. When you put it on food, soy sauce has an effect where it has a glutamic acid, which is the fifth flavor. Traditionally, we have salty, sweet, sour, and bitter. And then beyond those sensations, everything is more of a smell sensation when you eat food. And the Japanese discovered that tongue actually has a fifth receptor for glutamic acid, which is savory and rich flavors. So when you eat a really good marrow bone or something, that's the most extreme example of umami and richness. And soy sauce is, I think, the easiest way to add that to anything. I add it to continental or French or Italian cooking all the time. If there's a recipe, any savory recipe that calls for salt, I add soy sauce. I think it can be compared to dried mushrooms for people who cook. You soak the dried mushrooms, cut them up, and add the water and mushrooms. You don't taste mushroom as such, but you have a deeper, richer flavor sensation in the meal. So if you're doing something like a braised pork or a braised chicken or a roasted chicken, any of those things can have soy sauce added. And I use it cooking that way in non-conventional ways.
What's your advice people who purchase soy sauce, and then how do they keep it like after they open?
So I produce the soy sauce in the little bottles, and the primary reason is that it goes bad quickly once you've opened it. And if you keep it in a refrigerator, it'll last longer, and keep it closed tightly, like you would any other condiment, and it can last for weeks at a fairly high level. You know, as soon as you open it, it starts to change and affect the flavors, and it does open up. But I would recommend people not buy, you know, a liter of soy sauce and keep it in a warm cabinet for a half a year. And I think an interesting thing people have done that I've suggested is if you have a bottle of soy sauce in your house now, go buy that exact same bottle of soy sauce and taste them side by side. And I think you'll be shocked and amazed at how different the flavor is between the fresh soy sauce and the exact same soy sauce that was made and opened months ago. You know, what I'm trying to impress on people really is that soy sauce is a delicious, complicated flavor, and that it changes over time like a wine, and that it's not just something's happening in the computer. The soy sauce is a rich and interesting. Let me start again. Soy sauce is a rich, interesting, and complicated flavor and experience with your mouth chemically that makes food taste better. It's not just sour and salt, and it's not just kikkoman.
Speaking of the container, I really love, you know, what you pick for your Shiso Soy. So would you please explain a little bit about the, you know, the history, why you decided to make Shiso company, and then, you know, how you pick the company, you know, Shiso soy sauce company from Japan, and then put it into the beautiful, you know, container, the whole story?
All right, I will. I think one of the concerns I had when I first started thinking about bringing better soy sauces to America was the marketing. And it was a complicated process to go to Japan and find breweries, because there are traditional breweries in Japan. There's still a few thousand left, and they're actually going extinct a couple percent a year, and the major market is consolidating towards the top 6 commercial producers. And I think within my lifetime, it could be that almost all of the traditional breweries in Japan close, because these are institutions that have been around for 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 12 or 14 generations. And the soy sauce, the same way people think of it as tasting the same, they buy it the same. So when they sell it, their soy sauce, they're competing with kikkoman, and a brewery might produce 40,000 liters twice a year, and kikkoman is producing 40,000 liters a day. And there's no way to compete with that level of cost advantage. when all the products are sold at the same price. So my idea was that we need to create a premium sector in soy sauce so that people can have the experience of having delicious soy sauce, but also to create enough of a premium sector so that I can buy the premium soy sauces from these small breweries and keep them in business. What's happening now is that there's usually someone running the brewery that's been running it for years and years. They've been working literally 7 days a week for their entire life since they were teenagers in these family breweries, and they're going broke, and their children just don't want to take over the sinking ship. And the Titanic is already vertical, and and they're going broke, and they can see it happening. And it's a real tragedy because every time a brewery closes down, the recipes and the microbiome, the yeast and the lactobacteria that make that unique soy sauce and the skill of the brewer are lost, and they're gone forever. So one of my dreams is to help preserve these traditions and these small producers, these artisanal producers who are now going broke. So I decided to move to a much more upscale product and to differentiate the product from the mass producers. I chose a beautiful Italian bottle. Took me years to find. There are not very many small bottles like this. There's very few products other than vinegar that fit into a bottle this big and justify the price and the hassle. So I wanted it to be special. And I also want people to raise their awareness that it's a condiment and something you're using and putting in your mouth, and you're putting it on a meal where each person might spend $100 a person just on the food, and you're putting it on your food. It's similar to why you have a beautiful wine bottle and a beautiful liquor bottle and all the other packaging. I think we taste with our eyes. We all know that expression. And then when you use a beautiful bottle, it raises your consciousness and makes you think, oh, this is an important experience that I want to have.